briefing, shadow close to.
Thanks for calling Metro. Make sure you attach your card to the barricade or validator.
Shadow close to. Books of life, work in progress, and bunch of be unfinished, and novels and destined to be told. In a briefing, shadow close to. Books of life, work in progress, and bunch of be unfinished, and novels and destined to be told. Untitled for the sun is spring cold in this dawn, chorus are the same. Though unexplored, unexpected observing self, the romanticized the conscience, and everybody has one, and I'm trying to make it something you're not. And the rivers in your eyes carry the stillness of 1,000 waters, and you're trying to find the charcoal sky, the plant, the splatters, the pride, the pick. You can never forget it for the meeting at first. The way you looked at me. And it was lots of dirt attached over the sitting and the calling and the static of me. Interrupted by the only the fancy place in shadow, the shadow of mine, what has to be the letter. With the wilted flowers. Were damaged by the beauty for the similar. Wilting of the flowers was damaged by the human being for the I was drawn to one to wait to find the wilting over the plucking over the roots, and this is along the way for this to bring the beauty back to life and bloom once again for this to be broken. Or the reed. Of life, work, progress, and budget be unfinished, and novels and destined to be told. In a briefing, shadow close to. Books of life, work, progress, and budget be unfinished, and novels and destined to be told. Untitled for the sun is spring cold in this dawn, chorus are the same. Though unexplored, unexpected observing self, the romanticized the conscience, and everybody has one, and I'm trying to make it something you're not. Rivers in your eyes carry the stillness of 1,000 waters. You're trying to find the charcoal sky, the plant, the splatters, the pride, the pit. You never forget it for the meeting at first. The way you looked at me. And it was lots of dirt attached to the sitting and the calling of the static and just me. Interrupted by the only your fancy place in shadow, the shadows of mine, and what has to be the letter. With the wilted flowers. Were damaged by the beauty for the similar. For the wilting of the flowers was damaged by the human being for the I was drawn to one to we define and built it over the plucking over the roots, and this is along the way for this to bring the beauty back to life and the bloom once again for this to regrow. Or the paw prints in the heart, companion, light the burst into the light, and everything's right with the wagging of the tail for the struggle over the snuggle over you're tight enough to beat the golf club, this unclenched teeth, this patriarchal in the clans, the golf in the morning of the dawn, but you can have the blind sight and eye to find the heart that will break. The tongue bled, around the letter for the heart to read around it. Nobody can know to listen to the words and the beat to the listener, but the yearning everything else and not to be bored. Lend us something for the curiosity in your eyes, the guiding for the ship through the treacherous waters, and this for the trouble. The letter for the lover, though, this will be something else for the protection, for the pain, for the armor. Searching for the not lost, this if I cross, you find the conquer. A search for the ultimately repressed, custody for the existence, for the feeling safe and secure, for the validation, for the worthy of. A dandelion would tell the truth comfortable, but never to lose something, try to write again now for the knowing what I know. The dead are ready for the long time now, for the kill that in my mind, for the never the dead, the hell froze over, for the curiosity, for the cruelty, for the cradle, for the this will be the dead man toning of your solitary crime. Pierce the side of the desperate rhythm of your name, barely cutting in the body straight. Face it down, folding in the soft ways that you can make. Misery, meaning, purpose and an effort, the motivation to plan. Trouble, your hand with the name, tucked in your pocket when all your days. Without hesitation for the 4 to 5 for the sheets, and this will be the blanket for the promising of each God. Is this easy searching of the words? It doesn't describe how you feel, but I can tell you. For the bigger, the better, the person, for the juicy, for the pride, for the be right, for the be the lead, the silent fight. Questions that you had drowning in. Perhaps it was a longing for this. Is now the lofty gut, the shot, the burst of this. No swelling, the trust. This is sitting on the throne, laughing at the pain for the cause. Hidden aversion for the find what's mine for the bare witness of your heavens and containing your brilliant enough. son will grow up fast as possible. Ego death trip, the bleeding and the screaming over what you've had a day for the living life. Just for the dimensions and for the glory of the nothing for the taking for your book of perfection. In a briefing, shadow close to books of life, work in progress, and a bunch of be unfinished and novels and destined to be told. And title for the sun is spring cold and its dawn clothes are the same, though unexplored. Unexpected observing self, the romanticizing the conscience, and everybody has one, and I'm trying to make it something you're not. And the rivers in your eyes carry the stillness of 1,000 waters, and you're going to find a charcoal sky, plants and splatters of pride to pick. You can never forget it for the meeting at first. The way you looked at me. And it was lots of dirt texture. Remember the sitting and the calling of the static and just me. Interrupted by the only your fans and blazing shadow. Shadow of the line. What has to be the letter. With the wilted flowers. Or damaged by the beauty for the similar. Wilting of a flower so damaged by the human being that I was drawn to one to we define and built it over the plucking over the roots, and this is along the way for this to bring the beauty back to life and the bloom once again for this to regrow. With a reed, paw prints in the heart, companion, delight to burst into the thresholds of the heart. Verb with so many uncentered designs, whatever the evil or good ones that you can find it couldn't make it. The thresholds of the heart. Verb with so many uncentered designs, whatever the evil or good ones that you can find it couldn't make it. Final destination for the you can be. Verb with so many uncentered desires, whatever the evil or good ones you could find, it couldn't make it the final destination for the youth. Words like the part for the master, for the graphic, hieroglyphics, scientific, for the predictive, for the only heavily span transcripts, this visit for the sun. All of that, accounting for the spaceship or whatever the planet even. More advantage for your source of the high classification for your data, the possibilities for the overthrow will get off, for the instant expression for the tooling existence, and the words that are like part of the name. Fridge and hums a quiet warning to remembering the footsteps of the dappling of the sunlight for what you remain. Beholding abandoned, such as life it had been. Cold enough to walk down the crooked code for the silence of the story, for the never told, for the night back, stars out of line, and the glass ceiling and the fears where they don't feel become. Limitations for the ruling of the asking someone to stay. And the returning to yourself. And the warmth of the sunlight after the shivering in the desolate cave. For the sight, for the life, for the invisible voice that echoed and ready to roar. For the line of the truth. For the greed, for the enticement, the undesired. Unknown, envy, joy to the bone. For the wrath, for the blind eye. Consumes the heart. Sloths whisper the rest of the bandit decline, for the gluttony of the feasting of the forgetting time, for the burning of the fast, for the bleeding flame, for the seven shadows of the hunting of my name. An unseen horror for cursed edges of the night, for the silence of thinking your breath and not your own. Walls lean near every step, but the multiplies dark, with a vanishing act for the quieter, when even the walls stop listening, for the ceiling that doesn't judge me, and a million voices talking to each other for the none of them makes sense. This is what happened. This is not. It doesn't matter anymore. For the whispered of mistakes back to you. For the only voice screams back. For this is sign up for you. For the own regrets. For the forgetting how to breathe. For this advantage. For how to survive. For the noise of the stare of the trees and never the stare of the water. For this to be the fire. For the pretending of the flames of the demons inside of your chest. For this to argue with yourself. The voice within. Never be without. Another last for the tribe. For another. For the untitled. Reading every day for the you can find the price of the glee. Thresholds of the heart. Verb with so many uncentered desires, forever the evil or good ones who you could find it couldn't make it the final destination for the youth. Thresholds of the heart. Verb with so many uncentered desires, forever the evil or good ones who you could find it couldn't make it the final destination for the youth. Words like the part for the master, for the graphic, hieroglyphics, scientific, for the predictive, for the only heavily span transcripts, this visit for the some contingents. The thresholds of the heart. Verb with so many uncentered desires, forever the evil or good ones who you can find it couldn't make it the final destination for the youth. Words like the part for the master, for the graphic, hieroglyphics, scientific, for the predictive, for the only heavily span transcripts, this visit for the some contingents. Call it that, the counter for the spaceship or whatever the planet even. For the more advantage for your source of the high classification for your data, for the possibility for the overthrow to get off, for the instant expression for the truth in existence, and the words that are like part of the name. Fridge and hums a quiet warning to remembering the footsteps of the dappling of the sunlight for which you remain. Beholding abandoned, such as life it had been. Cold enough to walk down the crooked code for the silence of the story for the never told, for the night back, stars out of line, and the glass ceiling and the fears we don't feel become. Limitations for the ruling of the asking someone to stay. Returning to yourself. The warmth of the sunlight after the shivering in the desolate cave. The sight for the life of this invisible voice that echoed and ready to roar. The line of the truth, greed for the enticing and undesired, unknown, envy, joy to bone, the wrath of the blind eye, consumes the heart. The sloths whisper the rest of the band of decline, the gluttony of the feasting and the forgetting time, the burning of the fast and the fleeting flame with the seven shadows of the hunting in my neck. The unseen horror of the cursed edges of the night for the silence that thickens your breath and not your own. Walls linger near every step that multiplies dark, vanishing after the quiet, quieter. Even the walls stop listening for the signal that doesn't judge me. And million voices talking to each other from another that makes sense. This is for the half, and this is not, it doesn't matter for the boy. For the whisper and the sakes back to you, for your voice screams back. This is a sign up for you, for the own regrets, and forgetting how to breathe, and it's vanishing. How to survive in the noise and the stare of the trees and never the stare of the water for this to be the fire, the beginning of the flames and the demons inside of your chest. And this is an argument with yourself. Voice within. Never be without. For the last, for the tribe, for another, for the untitled. Reading every day for the youth, the time, the Christ, and the belief. Possessed for the humankind, for the present, for the coexistence, for the echoes of the hungry, every step of this is all. Fragments of heaven for the heaven and more to claim for the holy. Broad life for the slip through the hands and the life that is truly want to live in the passing through the question. Carrying over the outliving in me. Knowing that to save our souls in the hidden for the truth. It's a fun day for the time for the comes for the strips of the bread and what's bringing throughout the lands of the sun for the this will be the moon for the merging of the one for the earth for the returning to none for the big innocent eye of you for the knowledge of the lost. For how to climb inside of yourself for the big pay will cost this will be mirror strapped cage fuel for the bird of the the unknown, at the end of the day, fear for the inner self, for the sitting with the everyday, for the this to be the world undone. Look for the sea for the what you see, now for the drowning, for the right, for the root, for the each person, for the strolling of the green, for the blue planet, for the flapping of the for the fine poke. Wait, she was the winter wind for the singing through my thoughts, tender, sting.
Thank you.
Breaking up the art, delving apart from the naked, to find a sleep, dream. Endless and there's nothing good for this got to be a piece of cake that never been eaten with the Sunday night party. Trust, sideway compass over your daylight tell the moon. Quiet, honest, leaves, nothing, heavy. You're a perfect narcissist. This the wait to work to find the version of yourself, not to hate for the born winds. Soul is sticky here for the choke on it, for the underneath, for the butterscotch and the lies that is something surprisingly similar. Similar for the hope, the hopes, and find the neglect me for the life forget. Beautiful before the time that you got me. Out of the shards, the cinnamon of the eternal thing for the remember the reinstating of what you find the rest of these. Planted a tree without the natural deed. The thing to find the whip is not alone for the people. It's a matter for the breaking into the rhythm of the seething of the tears and entrapping yourself with the energy to realistic, realize the time to find the trance of this these blueprints of this defeat, slapping at the tiles with a laughter stitch for you. Both of us in critique. Never the picture for the healing of it until they sleep against that shoulder for the breathing of the time for the keep yourself at the time with folding into each other for the souls to be melted for the winter mingling over the merging over the invisible for the enough to be summoned to. The queen, the bishop, the rook, the knight, the gloomy clouds to prevail for the conscious light, the cosmic for the astronaut walking over your catching of the crosshair for the whiffing over your melancholy for the definition of the pain, but I'm fine to soothe. Used to be that, for the used to be the push of the tummy, for the bit for the air, for the might not be funny enough to laugh. This is the extreme and over the way to be between is ecstasy to be twisted, apathetic for the euphoria, for the damning expression. With the depression for the brother's wrong, you do for the right, for the knife, the holding too much weight, for the specting, for the too much tonight, for I find a passion for the project. The grind if it should be obsessive for the preventative care for the slate. Or sob over the scratching over your spite, or whatever the tip of the tumbling over the floor for the become the clouds. So this boy I find here for the words and you glow. And the embers of the flame to catch fire spreading in no matter over the define the fixing of the thing for the angles of the cute enough to find a spite for the help of enough to hear now. Hurt. Thousands of me for the hate, the truth now, for the duality, for the handle, the reality, for the reason, for your excuse, and perhaps that fine and failed to begin with. Or a mind who refuses to never leave. The can't find a captain for the body, for the became a puppet for the first time you find an else pawn. Or the spawn for this wide patio. Vibes in your must. Find the autumn air for the drooling of the bounce. New chest. Find the fingers of the hair for the quicken, the sound of crickets and blue. Nobody cares. The sinking with the heartbeat for the man, for the whispers, for the sweetly talked into your sword, the stone for the sickle. Take the wake, the queen, the bishop of the brook, the night, the gloomy clouds to prevail for the conscious light, the cosmic, for the astronaut walking over your catching of the crosshair, for the whiffing over your melancholy, for the definition of the pain, but I'm fine soon. It used to be that, for it used to be the push for the tummy, for the bit for the air, for it might not be funny enough to laugh. This is the extreme and over the way to be between his existence, the twisted, apathetic, for the euphoria, for the damning expression. For the depression, for the breath of wrong, you do for the right, for the knife, the holding too much weight, for the specting, for the too much tonight, for I find a passion for the project. Grounded for sheepy obsessive, for the preventative care, for the slave. Sorrow over the scratching over your spike, or whatever the tip of the tumbling over the floor, for the would become the clouds. For this boy I find here, we're here for the words of you blow. The embers of the flame to catch fire spreading in no matter over the define the fixing of the thing, for the angles of the cube enough to find a spite, for the help with enough to hear now. Hurt. Thousands of me for the hate, the truth now, for the duality, for the handle, the reality, for the reason, for your excuse, perhaps that find and failed to begin with. A mind who refuses to never leave. The can't find a captain for the body, for the became the puppet for the first time you find an else pawn. And spawn for this my patio, vibes in your month. Find the autumn air for the drooling of the bounce. New chest. Find the fingers of the hair for the quicken, the sound of crickets and blue. Nobody cares. The sinking with the heartbeat for the man, for the whispers, for the sweetly talked into your sword, the stone for this cold. Make it gasp, but find the chills for this region for the one, for the anoint me up with your flaps, this worship you ever care for your body, for this to be the body and for the servant. I can no longer remember the temper over your voice, so this will remember the imprints of your fingertips, this is never found and never found. New found for the absence for your love, and I mean for this and that, to feel the forgetting of the moving on for this and that. Always been. The time capsule for discerning the time for this to be space, this show where everything is now that there is to know about me, for the starting to describe them to the favorite color, for the favorite is mine. And I'm not a color for the forever, it's gonna be when it's only tiny space, this for the inside of the warm embracing of the shadow. Or still for the better, for the moment, the heart is the cold, for this game of thrones to war. Thrown to be a game for the I am, the feeling of what you find. And there for the must be the sniffing of it, but you sick now for the unchaining of it yourself, for the breathing, the new, the love, the rate yourself, for the feet, for the may I rain, run from you. Born into life's times of the endless weather. Guided by the system rules of intimidating life with the focus in the bottom of ships. This whips, this crack, the knife of the drinking, living your darkness in the show called you out in name. Where lifetimes are not wasted, undying, but if you're knees are anchored to your wrist. This is scattered dreams of the returning of your bad kiss. This slips. Wait for the fruits that just cry to just review. Your pleasure for the begging of the review to stay for this friends are still. Remember the spirits and the spirit remembers too vividly. You're feeling of what you found skin to play. It was a cicada play. The petals of the morning life in the chilling breeze of sight. For the petals of bloom for the tender for the fleeting grace of your hue. For the dancing beneath that sapphire sky. For the fragile for the dreams and the dare to embrace and return to love. For you the beautiful the way, for the unique way, for the eye and for the hands and I feel the reaching, for the scratching of the eye creeping into your lungs and possessing for the breathing of practice. When you find screaming at time to contain. Cold bones can't make warm home with this song. The heart halls this narrow to the roaming of what you find stolen years of this person another either. Use the either for the plenty of that stolen mirror, for the biggest mistake for the actually ever have, for the heart still knows this breathing to you, pulling away from where I'm from, for the still the sample of a flower for the bloom for this key to life, banging fingertips, pending a fingertips on the soul, rending of the color for the exact revenge of the gunshot wound for this all of what punches the play for the tic-tac-toe, unlock yourself in the bird within the cage, across the gaze, your eyes twisted, the smiles of you for the finding of where I'm hidden. It was the last stream. It was the letter for us who wonder for the merciless of the night, for the nest of need feel to find the veils of false dawn, find the remaining consistent for the very intellectual, for the abnormal, for the affectionate, for the day to become. Spending in the time for the hand in hand, for the walk in the line, for the moonshine, the heartache, for the bottle, for the spoon, find the neon sign that can shake me, for the crown of thorns, and the soon find the teeth and red. You got the red for the bleeding lips of the velvet red, for the yumming of the tummy, over the power, for the electrical issue, for the could be the finding living, electrifying the energy, flickering the light, for the thought I lost in the staring at the sun of the life of the artificial to me, for the not living, for the knowing of the universal life. Worried about the thought. Play it for me for the needle to the night troubles and the unholy for the him and the magnesium and the sweating of the dividers of the gun for the gut feeling for the antidepressant for the holidays of this all the fine for veils of this and I know the truth for the fragile for the unstained by the poison.